For proper installation, please make sure that you have the following diagram and installation manuals of each individual product on hand. Warning: please read carefully before installing this kit. It's very important that you take the time and read each section of this before installing this kit. In order to get started with this installation, you need to make sure you have the following tools on hand. First step will be to take the power supply that is provided in the kit and cut the end of the connector. When cutting is complete, you will find two wires at the end of the power supply. The positive side of the power supply is identified by the white dashes along the wire, or you will see that it comes in the color red. The negative wire will be solid black. In this step, we're going to connect 5 wires together, mostly using the negative portion of power supply number 1. Let's get started. Now we will get the same negative wire from the power supply and connect it to the negative black wire from the exit button. So now let's get the negative wire from the power supply and connect it to the negative black wire from the keypad/reader. We are now going to connect the negative of this power supply to the common or COM terminal of the receiver, which is the little black box. Grab the negative of the power supply and connect it to the common or COM terminal of the PIR motion detector. Last step we're going to do is get the negative wire from the power supply and connect it to the common or COM green wire from the exit button. In this step, we will be using the positive wire from the power supply and connecting a group of 3 wires. Let's start by getting the positive side of the power supply and connect it to the positive red wire of the reader/keypad. The following step is to get all the wires that we connected, and now get a piece of electrical wire and connect one end of that wire to the positive red wire of the exit button.
Corriendo audio.
In this step, we'll be connecting the Maglock to the reader/keypad and to the exit button. For this step, you will connect the positive red wire from the Maglock to the orange wire from the keypad/reader. Now we will connect the negative black wire from the Maglock to the purple wire from the keypad/reader. Now let's connect the yellow wire from the keypad/reader to the NO, or normally open blue wire from the exit button. In this step, we will be able to connect the receiver or little black box to the normally open or NO terminal from the receiver. This will be connected to the yellow wire from the keypad/reader. In this step, we will connect power to the doorbell and to the PIR motion detector. Go ahead and connect power supply number 2 and grab the positive red wire from the power supply and connect it to the positive terminal of the PIR motion detector. Immediately after that, get the same positive wire from the power supply and connect it to the positive red wire from the doorbell speaker. Now get the negative black wire from the second power supply and connect it to the negative terminal of the PIR motion detector. Okay, when you have completed that, get the same negative wire from the power supply and connect it to the black negative wire from the doorbell speaker. Now we will connect the doorbell speaker to the keypad/reader. Let's start by getting the gray wire from the reader/keypad and connect it to the yellow wire from the doorbell speaker. Next step will be to get the blue wire from the reader/keypad and connect it to the green wire from the doorbell speaker. Okay. Now get the yellow wire from the keypad and connect it to the NC, or normally closed terminal, of the PIR motion detector. Yeah. Alright, so we're finally here at the last step of the wiring here. We're going to get the third power supply and connect the red positive wire to the positive 12 volt terminal of the receiver, which is the little black box. Right after that, we're going to get the negative black wire from the power supply and connect it to the negative terminal of the receiver, which happens to be 24V. Remember that the receiver is the little black box. In this step, we will show you a summary of all the connections. Step will be to program the wireless remotes. This remote has a range of approximately 320 feet. Please make sure that you have one of the buttons in your hand while we do this step. We will now go to the receiver and press the programming switch, which is located on the side of the receiver. Make sure you take off the black cover for this step. We are going to press on that button for about 3 seconds until the LED light starts flashing. Then you will press the button on the remote once and wait till the light on the receiver stops flashing. You will now see that the remote is working. The 11th step will be to explain on the different functions that the receiver has and how to program them. It's important to note that the receiver's default function works the following way. When you press the remote once, the Maglock will release and stay released for 4 seconds, and then it will automatically lock. The second function that would need to be programmed works very similar to a light switch, on and off function. In order to program this, please get a small flat end screwdriver and press the function switch.
Hold that button for about 3 seconds and then press it one more time until it flashes twice. Once this has been done, you have programmed the second function.
In this step, we will create some type of user log. This log can be created in Excel or a piece of paper. For example purposes, I will go ahead and show you a template that we created in Excel. Remember that each user can have different ways to enter the system. So here I will show you all different types of examples. This part is extremely important because it allows you to keep track of every user. This will allow you to easily delete a certain user in the future. Let's say the username is Paul and you only gave Paul a proximity card, so you will only enter his proximity card number. Now let's say you gave another employee a proximity card and key tag and PIN. It's all up to you on what type of access you want the user to have. In this step, we will show you on how to change the master code. The default master code is 8 6 times. 8 8 8 8 8 8. So we're going to start by pressing the star 8 6 times, pound, now press 0. Then we will enter the new master code, which will be 1 6 times for example purposes. Pound. Now we will repeat the new master code 1 6 times and pound. In this step, we will show you how to manually add the proximity card or key tags. Remember that for this step, we will use the new master code that we entered on the previous step. If you have not changed your master code, remember that the default factory code is 8 6 times. Now we will go into programming mode. Press star key and then 1 6 times, pound, the number 1, and pass the proximity card or the key tag. That's it. Press star until you see the red solid light to test the card. Now you can see that we're going to swipe the card. It opens the Maglock. We're going to swipe the key tag. And you'll see that the Maglock is open. In this step, we will show you how to delete the proximity cards and key tags manually. Remember that we're going to go into programming mode and your master code, for example purposes, will be 1 6 times. Let's go ahead and press star 1 6 times, pound, the number 2, and present the proximity card or key tag to the keypad/reader. Then we're going to press star until we see the solid red light, just to test the theory there. And you see there that they're not working. The lock remains secured. In this step, we will teach you how to manually enter the user ID and user PIN. Now we will go ahead into programming mode by entering star 16 times and pound the number 1, 2 for the user ID and pound. Then you're going to put, for example purposes, 6520 and then pound. To exit programming mode, press star until we see the red solid light. Now we're going to test our code. Before we do that, keep in mind that you have 1,000 users, okay? So we just did user number 1 or 2 to enter the PIN. So the next one would be 3, 4, etc. 6, 5, 2, 0, pound. And now you'll see that the Maglock disengages. In this step, we will teach you how to manually delete a user ID and user PIN. We will go into master programming, so star 16 times, pound, the number 2, user ID 2, pound, and then star until we see the solid red light. Now I'll show you that I went ahead and I deleted everything that had pertained to user 2. So now the PIN code no longer works. As you can see, it does not disengage. In this step, we will teach you on how to set different time delays. Meaning, if you want the door to stay open for 5 seconds or more, the system comes default with 50 milliseconds. So here we go. We're going to go into programming mode. Press star 16 times. Pound, the number 4, and the number 5 for the seconds that we want right now, plus pound. Then we're going to hit star until we see the red solid light. As you can see now, it's locked. Now we unlocked it and you'll see that it stays open for more or less 5 seconds. And that's it. You can do this for 10 seconds up to 90 seconds, I believe. In this step, we're going to show you how to reset the keypad to factory settings. Make sure you have the power off. Now we're going to make sure we press our star button before we put it back on. We're going to hear 2 beeps. Then when you hear the 2 beeps, take your finger off and then it will be followed by 1 beep. And there you go, we went ahead and resetted the system. So, in order to test that out to see if we did it correctly, we're going to try to put in the default master PIN to see if that works. So it's star 6 times and pound. All right, great. So it worked and we reset it back to default settings. This is something you can use when everything has failed and you need to restore it. All right, well now we're going to show you how the system works, okay? So here you see that the lock is secured. You see here that we pass the proximity card and it unlocks it. Now we're going to enter the code. It unlocks it. Push the exit button. You'll see that it unlocks it. We're going to press the remote control. It unlocks the Maglock. Now the PIR. It unlocked it. And lastly, we'll show you here how the doorbell works. And that's it. Here you see an example of how a lock installed on the out swinging doors. This is just an example. There's many different ways to do it, but this is one of them. So this is an example of how to install a Maglock with an LNC bracket and a door that swings in. So here we show you how to mount the plate on the LNC bracket and also how to mount it on the door itself.